Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Between Sessions with Berries. I'm excited to have our guest today. She knows a lot about AI and all things private practice. I'm excited to introduce Nancy Cowden, LMFT, business coach, founder of the Prosperous Therapist, and author of the Prosperous Private Practice with over 25 years in mental health and 13 years running her own successful private practice. Nancy now helps therapists build practices that are not only profitable and sustainable, but also deeply aligned with the work that they love. She's also the creator of the Practice Magnet, an AI assistant designed to support private practice owners. So if you're tired of guessing your way through business decisions, this episode will show you how to build with clarity and confidence. Nancy, welcome. I'm so glad to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here and talk with you today about all things private practice.
I love it.
This is great.
So let's just jump in and talk about what inspired you to move from just, full-time private practice into coaching other therapists with their private practices.
Yes, I love supporting other therapists. I love teaching. And I saw this big gap in the industry with people really struggling to launch private practices out of a lot of fear and lack of knowledge on business skills. And it was something that when I first started out, that I waited way too long. My dream was always to launch a private practice. Mm-hmm. And I waited way too long for my health and my mental health, my physical health, to go ahead and launch it, and stayed in places where I was unhappy out of fear, out of lack of knowledge, and just not having, any information about what it is that you're supposed to do to run a sustainable practice. How do you even launch? And so I felt like, okay, there's such a need in our society for more therapists in private practice. There's such a struggle that people face with finding a therapist. And I thought, okay, how can I really help to kind of bridge that gap? And one of the ways was, okay, why don't I help therapists to launch private practices so that all the people out there who need their help can find them and work with them. So that was really what inspired me, right? It was like, there's so many people who need a therapist and so many people who want to have a private practice and don't know where to begin. Let me be the one to help to bridge that gap.
We need it so much. Yeah. There's so many things, especially, stuck maybe in a group practice or even still working for agencies that just need to get out and need a fast track to do it because it's really daunting and scary. And everybody waits too long. I hear that over and over again.
Yes. And there's just, because there's so much fear. I was just doing a 3-day challenge last week with therapists who want to launch a private practice. And one of the things I kept hearing over and over again in different things that we were talking about was the fear, right? The fear of not being able to find clients, fear of not making enough money, fear of coming off too salesy in marketing, fear of niching down, fear of, right? It was like these constant fears keep coming up and holding people back. And so when I work with therapists and in my book, I always start off with talking about mindset and the importance of mindset in private practice.
Mm-hmm. Can we talk about your book? Tell us about writing the Prosperous Private Practice.
Yes. And here it is. The Prosperous
I love
Private Practice.
Gorgeous cover.
Thank you.
Cover. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the sunburst. Yeah, so I've always loved reading. I've always I used to pretend when I was little, writing books and stuff.
That's so cool.
So I was like, oh, you know what? I mean, I wish that there had been, the manual to launching a private practice when I was starting out. And so I had an opportunity that came up for a writing program for therapists that I did and that I saw. And so I signed up and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to write this book. And so it was a great experience for me because I love writing and just being able to kind of lay out in my book really the process from start to finish to launching the private practice the right way, right?
Amazing.
Focusing on the things that matter.
So how long did it take you to write the book? I feel like a lot of therapists are probably like, I've got a book in me. I just wonder about the
Yes.
process sometimes. Like, did you set out and find an editor? Like how did you go from I want to do this and then just like now you're holding up this beautiful book with this beautiful cover. Like maybe you could just touch on that a little bit for people listening.
Absolutely. I actually
Yeah.
did a program that is run by Carly Hill,
Oh,
and she works
yes.
with a publishing company.
I've seen that.
And
Yeah.
yeah, bring your book to life. So I'll give a shout out to it in
I
this
love that.
podcast. And so I joined that and went through the process. And so there's like weekly coaching sessions, and then someone, does your manuscript review, editing for you. They do a
Wow.
cover, and they just walk you through the entire process and like the self-publishing of it.
That is
And
so
so
cool.
it was less than a year from the time I started the program to I had my book in my hand.
That's amazing. In your private practice, when did you realize, okay, I've got like a profitable, like prosperous model here that I can replicate? Was there
Yeah.
like a moment in your life where you were like, wait a second, this is working and this is working well and I've got to tell people about it. Was there like that moment that
Yeah.
it really hit you? I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah. I was at a point in my practice where I was just so full and I was getting so many calls. And I was like, okay, I can't see all these people at kind of a crossroads here, because I feel like I have the knowledge of like how to get clients in the door. And I was like, okay, I could do a group practice, I could expand, I could hire more therapists. And at one point I had an intern that I was working with and I loved it. But I was like, okay, that seems like not really the direction that I want to go in, because I'm just solving a small problem in
Mm-hmm.
my immediate life of, I have all these clients coming in, and let me, get some therapists working for me that I can refer them to. And I would be solving a problem just solely in my community, right?
Yes,
Of
yes.
helping people find a therapist. And I was like, that's great. And I could do that. And I'm sure it would be successful, because I have all these people who are just like, please, I've been trying to find a therapist. You're the 20th person I called, and nobody can take on a new client. And it would just
Mhm.
break my heart. And
Yeah.
so I was like, okay, I kind of want to solve a bigger problem. I want to go bigger than just solving it like in my own community. I want to help, save all the people out there. And so I was like, okay, this is a problem that's not just happening here. It's a problem that's happening everywhere. So how can I really broaden my reach and really help therapists to launch a private practice and get the clients coming in so that they can get the help that they need? And so that was kind of what inspired me, kind of just being at this crossroads. And
I love
do I
that.
solve kind of the problem like
Mm-hmm.
in a small way,
Mm-hmm.
or do I kind of broaden and just help, a bigger picture of
Yeah, that's amazing.
more
So,
people?
so working with therapists that are at that crossroads and just maybe nervous to start, do
Yeah.
you see like a couple of common themes with therapists that maybe are scared to take the leap? Do you have like a couple of themes or mindset issues that you see
Yes.
coming up and maybe some strategies to help with the mindset?
Absolutely. I think, probably the two biggest, right, are, am I going to get clients? What if no
Yeah.
one, there's just crickets and I don't get any clients, right? And then that also goes hands in hand with, am I going to make enough money?
Okay.
Am I going to be
Right.
able to make a sustainable practice?
Yeah.
And so I work with them a lot on that. And one of the things that I am really big on in helping therapists with is setting their fee, because I
Okay.
feel like a
Nice.
lot of times therapists base their fee on feelings, not facts. They base them on what they think they should offer their fee at, what they feel is a fair fee, what they feel people will pay, what they feel comfortable with, so that people don't think they're greedy. There's a lot of fear around being seen as greedy. And so they set their fees based on fear, not facts. And so I spend a lot of time in my book talking about, in every training I do, I talk about the formula that you need to use to figure out your fee so that you can launch your practice and know that not only are you going to be able to pay your bills, but you're not going to have to be living, paycheck to paycheck. You're not going to have to be living in that fear, right? And so I teach therapists to, okay, you need to know your numbers. You need to know what are
Nice.
all your personal expenses, including money that you want to put away to take a trip, money you want to put away for your kids' college. I got my son, he just started college this year. So that's
Oh my
always
gosh.
one that's
Okay.
on my mind, paying for college, right? Retirement, vacations, whatever the case may be, right? So you need to really know what do you need to be making, not just to pay your bills, but to live the lifestyle that you want to live. And you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to live the lifestyle that you want to live, right?
Yeah.
And then you really need to know, what are your business expenses? You need to
Mm-hmm.
know those numbers. What is everything that you need to be able to pay for each month to keep your practice up and running? How much do you need to be putting away for taxes? We're going to build that into your fee so many times, right? Therapists, tax time comes around. It's time for, quarterly taxes and all of that. And they're in a panic because, oh my gosh, I have to pay so much. I don't want therapists to have to worry about that. We're building that into your fee, and you're going to have your business savings account, and every month you're putting the money away for that. And it's not affecting how much money you're able to bring home for all those other things we talked about, right? And then how many weeks a year do you want to work? If
Yeah.
you only want to work 46 weeks a year, then we're going to base your fee on working 46 weeks a year. And how many clients a week do you want to see? We're going to
Nice.
figure that out, right? So
Mm-hmm.
then we're going to take that and times it by, 20 clients a week and, 46 weeks a year. That's how many clients you're seeing a year. And that's how we're going to figure out your fee, so
Amazing.
that your fee is allowing you to be sustainable and prosperous, right? And that's going to allow you to be a better clinician as well, right? That's going to allow you to show up without all that stress on you worrying, how am I going to be paying my bills? Am I even going to be able to keep this private practice open?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Oh, yeah. That is so helpful. I mean,
Yeah.
so many therapists, like you said, it's the mindset thing. It's like, I don't want to charge
Yes.
too much. I want to make sure I'm accessible. But, I've even found this too. If you charge higher rates, you could always offer like pro bono slots or, a few of those if you want to
Exactly.
serve back. Yeah. And
Exactly.
hmm
It allows you to have more of those opportunities to do that because okay, I'm not having to make sure, every single dollar is going to pay my bills, right? You
right.
have the ability to then give back in ways that maybe you wouldn't have the time or energy to if you're hustling, hustling, hustling all the time,
hmm
right? And then the other piece that, the fear is around is finding clients, right? And it's really important that you have your messaging down. Your
Nice.
messaging
Let's talk about
is
this.
so
Yeah.
important. Yeah. So once we kind of work on some mindset stuff, I love to, okay, we need to make sure we're building a solid foundation. I feel like a lot of therapists just kind of like jump in and they put up a Psychology Today profile and they put together, like a bare bones website and then are disappointed because
Yeah.
no one's contacting them. The phone's not ringing, right? And it's because you have to build that solid foundation first. You really
Yeah.
need to be clear. And I walk therapists through this in my book and when I work with them. Be clear on your why. What are your values, right? Like, why are you doing this? Why is this important to you? Why is this important to you personally, professionally, for your community, right? What's your why? What are your values? And then getting really clear, what's your mission, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's your vision? We I feel like a lot of times one of the biggest problems that therapists have going into private practice is, and I did this personally, and this is, how I know this, that they go into private practice looking at it just as like a legal entity that allows them to see clients independently, instead of looking at it as like, I'm an entrepreneur.
Right.
I am a
Ah,
CEO. I own a company,
mhm.
right? Just like the owner of your favorite coffee shop down the block is an entrepreneur and owns a business and works from a business model, you need to do the same. You have a business just as much as they do. And you need to really embrace that and own that and merge that therapist identity with that entrepreneur identity and
Oh, that's
embrace
amazing.
it, right? And
Yes.
so when you think from that standpoint, then you're making sure that from the beginning, you're putting those pieces in place. You know what your mission is. You know what your vision is. You're clear on, this is my specialization. This is my niche, right? These are the people who I help and how I help them. And being really clear on who your ideal client is, painting a real picture of them. You know, if you want to, name them, but you need to be able to visualize, like, who is this ideal client that I'm speaking to in my messaging, right? Because
Yeah.
marketing isn't about selling anything. It's about connecting. It's about connecting so that they feel, okay, this is the person who really understands what I am struggling with, and they have the approach to help me, right? But
Yes.
your marketing isn't going to be clear and speak to that if your messaging isn't clear to begin with, and you're not really clear on who that ideal client is, which is another thing that therapists really fear, niching down. They look at
Yes.
niching as such a scary word, and they hear things, oh, if you do that, then you're going to miss out on clients. You're really going to narrow, who you work with, and it's not going to work. And it's actually the opposite, right? And I know where that comes from when we're working in county mental health, right? Or working for an agency and we're just starting out. We're expected to be generalists. We're expected to be able to help everybody who comes
Yep.
in the door. We're assigned clients. You take this one day you're seeing someone with anxiety, another, next hour schizophrenia, the next hour a family, the next hour a couple, right? And it's all over the place.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to know how to help all of them,
I know. It's
right?
unbelievable.
It is. And it's a fast way to burn out. At least I know
Yeah.
it was for me, right? Because it's okay if not all those are your ideal client, right? You're going to do your best work. Number one, when you're clear for yourself, like, these are the clients that I feel best equipped to help, most energized to help, passionate to help and work with. And that's okay. That's not saying that, you don't care about other people and their mental health. Sure. But you want to focus on helping the people who you feel, right, are the best ones to come into your practice. And so when you get clear on that, then what happens is that your messaging is clear and you're able to speak directly to the person what they're struggling with. So they feel like, wow, this person really gets me. Are they reading my mind? Like, how do they know? Like, those are my thoughts. And then you're speaking to how it is that they want to feel, the transformation that they're looking for, what they're coming to therapy to try and, work on and feel on the other side of it, right? And when and introducing then yourself as the guide to help them bridge that gap between where they are now and where they want to be with your unique approach, right? And so when you niche down, then you're able to really connect on a deeper emotional level. Because when you speak to everyone, you're actually speaking to no one because you're not really resonating on a deeper emotional level with anyone. And so when your website or your Psychology Today profile just really reads kind of general, I help everybody, I work on life transitions, I work with kids and adults and couples and families, right? It's like, okay, but there's
But what
nothing
about
in
me?
there. Yeah, I get, but do you understand me? Do
Yeah.
you know what I'm going through? Are you going to be able to really help me and connect with me and, validate what I'm experiencing? Do you understand? Do you get it? And do you know, like, what I'm looking for? And so that fear of niching down, really, you should be afraid not to, because if you don't, then the right people aren't going to come. When you niche down, you're going to be able to bring in those people. And not to mention, right, it helps with when you create your website with SEO, when you're speaking directly to certain pain points, right? What people are Googling for. If you're not in your website speaking to and using the language that people are Googling, then they're never going to find you. If you're speaking in
Exactly.
general language, people aren't Googling something general. They're
Yeah.
being super specific, and they're looking for a specific therapist who treats a specific issue in a specific area. And if that's not written specifically in your messaging, you're not going to get found. You're going to be the best kept secret.
Yeah.
And that's not what you want to be.
Exactly. We don't want that in this situation.
No,
Yeah.
not at all.
So I know that you're into AI, and this is the Berries
Oh,
podcast.
yes.
We always love to
Yes.
just talk a little bit about AI. Talking about niching down, how can somebody use AI just to help with that, just in general? And then maybe we can deep dive into how you use it and in your program and all of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So definitely by going to, if you're like a chat GPT user, right?
Yeah.
And letting them know, okay, this is the things that light me up. These are the clients I'd like to work with. These are the problems. These are my approaches. And you could be general with it and just ask it, what would be a good niche for me? But I'm very big believer in AI needs to really know you to help you, right?
Yes,
And when you're
yes.
just giving AI maybe some like generic prompts,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to give you back generic answers. And so I have worked on developing different things for AI to really help therapists with their messaging and their marketing. And I have something now that's kind of a smaller thing, and I'm working on developing a bigger thing because I fully believe like this is the future and we need to embrace AI. It is here to help us, not hurt us. It's not going to replace us. And if we know how to use it correctly, it can really be such a game changer in running your private practice on so many different levels, right? Where you have like Berries, who's going to help you with, your notes. My goodness, what therapist doesn't hate writing notes, right? And when you're able to use something like Berries to write your notes and just get them done in seconds instead of sitting there staring at a blank screen for hours and hours and hours trying to get all your notes done. I know people have lots of fears, right, around AI too, and using it and what it
Yes.
means and implications and all of that. And to totally encourage people to learn more and try and really test it out and see like, okay, what is this really about? Because there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of noise, but block that out and try these things. And so what I've developed for therapists is something called Practice Magnet, which is what I have now. And it helps therapists walk through writing their niche statement, figuring out their niche, working on their vision, their mission, coming up with a marketing plan, writing their directory profiles, writing their website messaging and their pages for their website. And I'm having developed right now, and that's called Practice Magnet. And I'm having developed right now another platform, which is going to be, and that one is a custom GPT that people can utilize. So it's based in ChatGPT and you need to use it in ChatGPT. And what I'm working on creating is a standalone AI platform, and Therapractice Pro AI, and it is going to be a course on how to launch and build your private practice. And built into it is the AI. So as you're going through, say, the training on figuring out your mission, your vision, your niche, and your specialization and your ideal client, there's the AI connected with it that will walk you through, help you answer questions. It has AI built into each question, so it can give you alternative answers. So you type in your answer, and then you can click the AI assistant, and the AI coach pops up and gives you some deeper alternatives. And it's trained, right, on all my methods. And so is the custom GPT. So I've taken everything that I teach, that I worked with individual one-on-one therapists with, and all of that, and it's trained on all of that. And so the platform is getting trained on a deeper level, more inclusive, with training videos, and it's going to spit out for you all your like therapist profile messaging. So it's going to write your mission, your vision, your niche, and you answer some questions, and then it also then has your website. It'll create each page of your website for you, your homepage, each of your service pages, your about page, your frequently asked questions page, your contact page, all of that, right? And it's It's trained in a way that when you put it on your website, right, put it in a website template, it's all formulated for you, in a template, and you put it in the template. Then it's set up to be SEO friendly and AI SEO friendly so that you can get found on AI. So when someone goes into ChatGPT and says, can you find me a therapist who deals with ADHD for kids in San Diego, it's going to be able to find you, right? And so it's also going to be able to help you with all your figuring out your marketing plans, social media, your messaging. It's going to be all encompassed so that you can really utilize this AI trained on everything that I've learned over all my years in private practice and as a therapist, so that you can really build a practice with ease and confidence, right? And know, like, okay.
I feel like this is just the future of all coaching, really, is incorporating AI in and just making it easier for our clients to be able to use these products and put content out and scale and all of that. It's amazing. Yeah. It's so exciting that you come up with all that. Yeah. So how do people find you if they want to work with you, if they want to learn more about you? How do they find you?
So you could go to my website. It's the prosperoustherapist.com. I also have, and on there you'll see the practice magnet. My book is on there, opportunities to work with me one-on-one. And I also have a Facebook group, Solo Practice Success, where I have a community of therapists. I do free trainings in there. It's an opportunity for you to connect with other therapists, ask questions. So those are some of the easiest ways to connect with me.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today. I know it's going to be super helpful, especially the niche stuff and, getting through that mindset stuff, because I know so many therapists are listening to this podcast and just want to get out of that situation they're stuck in. So this is so helpful to just have something that can help launch them right into it.
I hope so. Well, thank you so much for having me. It was such a pleasure.
You're welcome.